Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Super Reality Fan Podcast. I'm Pat, and I'm joined by Luke and JC. We're here for a very hectic week of Survivor recap, but before we get into that, guys, how have your week's been?
Not bad. Surviving here in isolation.
Surviving.
Considering I'm working half hours, I don't think there's been a week where I've been more tired. We've just been getting massive trucks all week, and it's just, I don't even know what's going on in the world. But, yeah. Physically demanding, even though I'm working half the hours.
Right. Makes sense. It's like harder work. I went out into the world and I felt really irresponsible, but I did wear a mask because I was trying to find a Nintendo Switch because Target said they had it in stock, but they didn't. So I ordered it online and I'm just going to wait patiently. And I'm so excited to play Animal Crossing. Like, it's the thing I'm waiting for the most. And I got voted out of my org. So me and Cassie, both from last week, if you watched our Brant Steele of Second Chance 2, if you haven't, go watch it. But me and Cassie were in our org last week, and sadly, both got voted out after making a move. But we both said we'd rather get voted out than stay in for too long, so it'll be good. So if any of us are ever missing, Cassie might be here. Maybe one of Luke's friends or JC friends might fill in, so that'll be fun too. But yeah, so do you guys want to get into this week's Winners at War?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's get it. So we started with the Edge of Extinction. Is that where you guys want to start?
Let's start with Michelle and Nick getting annoyed about being left out of the vote.
Yes.
This is something that I found super relatable as somebody who's been blindsided before. Like, somebody went home that I didn't expect in like a live game. I totally relate to where like Michelle and Nick were coming from in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, and we saw this in Nick's season too, especially like towards the end of the game. He was getting like super pissed, like when Davey got voted out and other people were getting voted out. You saw him coming back to camp and just being like, his temper was going off.
Yeah. And he's trying to hold it in, and it's hard. That's like the one thing you have to try with your social game is not to freak out too much, which is kind of what we see Tony do. Trying to be like, hey, kind of be more of aggressive, rational force, which is funny for Tony. Thinking of Tony and rationality in the same sentence, but he's trying to keep it together for Nick. But yeah, a very powerful way to start this episode that's definitely going to be chaotic. You just knew it was going to be chaotic after you saw that.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle said that she was okay with Wendell getting voted out, and I think maybe the fandom was disappointed last week that we really didn't get a good, like, Michelle and Wendell closing to the story after it was, like, built up so epically.
Right.
And, Michelle was saying that, like, hey, I was willing to vote out Wendell, and they chose to blindside me anyway, but I think that, the optics of them working together from, the previous tribe and, like, basically Michelle staying over Yule maybe just confirmed everybody's mind that they were too close. But and of course Nick said on my birthday, and I just was thinking of Big Brother 20 when
oh my God.
On my daughter's birthday. That's the first thing I thought of.
Yes.
So. Oh.
I'd even considered that. Or Rodney having to do dishes on his birthday.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into birthdays. I never even thought of that. It's usually probably late spring, early summer, so it's probably a pretty common time to have a birthday. It's not like middle of the fall when there's usually none. That's kind of funny though.
Yeah.
And even that's a little storyline. So my friend who I just got to start watching Survivor said, hey, what I missed in the first 5 minutes? And I was like, you need to find a link because this sets up the entire episode.
Yeah.
For sure, though, if I ever get cast, I'm absolutely lying about when my birthday is and putting it somewhere near Final 7, Final 8.
Yes. I was just thinking the same thing. It has to be deep in the game. Maybe like family visit if you really want to see that person that came to visit you. Maybe even Final 6. Maybe someone came back from the Edge if you're on Edge of Extinction season and you're really trying to pitch like don't vote me out on my birthday. I wonder if that's, you can make it like a Johnny Fairplay type move too. Not as evil as saying, hey, my grandma died, but hey, it's my birthday and you're going to vote me out. That's sick. And I'm not going to vote for you at the end anyway. So
it's kind of a deep cut, but somebody did do that in an Australian Big Brother, 2016 or 2014. Yeah, that's a really
great work. Cut. No spoilers, but did it work?
So basically it's played kind of like UK where it's like popularity based. And like they throw parties and stuff all the time. And so this guy said, hey, like Big Brother's going to give us like supplies for like a birthday party. Like they're going to cater it in because it's my birthday. And then like they never gave him stuff for it. And so he's like, guys, I don't know what's happening. Like, why aren't they bringing it? And then everybody just figured out that it wasn't actually his birthday. And it was
no.
But anyway, yeah, then we do good. After all the Adam, Michelle, Nick stuff, we do actually go to Edge of Extinction. What do you think of Edge of Extinction this week, JC?
interested in the puzzle itself.
Yeah.
I like that it's there. It's rewarding. It's something that definitely I'm glad Survivor did. I think this isn't the time to do it. I think Ghost Island, like when they do another Ghost Island style season, would have been an amazing time to do that, and have like Edge of Extinction be Ghost Island or something. I don't know. So I think it's a missed opportunity for the future, but with the future as uncertain as it has proven to be, especially with this whole pandemic, yeah, no, I'm glad they're using this. Do I call it a puzzle? Is it a puzzle?
It's a clue.
Riddle. I'm glad they're using this riddle now before they lose the ability to do it. And well, Edge of Extinction is still fresh in people's minds.
Yeah. That is the positive of it too. It was something that even I could call back, and I usually am pretty good about the people who are coming into the season. But since Aubrey wasn't really in it, and no one from, co-wrong, we have Michelle, but no one, like Chris Underwood isn't here, so I didn't rewatch Edge of Extinction. So it is nice to be like, oh, okay, I still remember that. That was just a year ago, which is crazy to think about in hindsight. But yeah, so it's something that they could easily bring up, and I'm sure if I can remember that, a casual viewer would probably remember that a little easier too. So it's definitely a good idea. I was more so confused that maybe no one got that off the top. Like they all just were like, let's sprint up the mountain, which I guess has worked in the past, especially for Rob. So I get why he and Amber did it, but no one stopped to think like maybe this is like riddle language, like metaphoric language. But they're all just like, let's go, we're running.
Right, especially because the clue said step back and assess, and literally nobody took the time to actually, literally assess what was going on. So, history repeats itself. All of the coins have been on top of the mountains, like they were just going up there. What I thought was super interesting was how they split off into groups. So it was kind of a short scene. It wasn't super elaborated on, but basically Natalie says in confessional that they don't want Yul or Wendell to get anything. Everybody who has been on the Edge of Extinction longer, it kind of feels justified, and we've been here the longest. We've been suffering the most. So if anybody's going to get anything, it's going to be us. Mm-hmm. So they split up into groups. Rob and Natalie went together, and then Wendell and Yul kind of were forced to go together.
Right.
Danny and Parv, and then I'm assuming Amber and Ethan also. They didn't get mentioned, but I'm assuming they went as a pair. But I just thought it was super interesting, how cliquey it's getting on the Edge.
It's definitely getting cliquey, and they're definitely getting hungry. In the secret scene for this week, Parvati starts to split her peanut butter with not only her and Rob. There's also Ethan there. I think Amber comes at the very end.
Yep.
Very excited about the peanut butter.
Obviously, Danny's going to be in on it too. I'm assuming it's everybody except Yul and Wendell, because I'm sure she's going to share it with Natalie because Natalie was there first. So yeah.
And I can't say I disagree with the move, because if you get, I think she got 4 fire tokens from Michelle, right? So if you have 4 fire tokens, why not spend 1 or a couple on some peanut butter if you can still get an advantage in the challenge or something like that?
Well, that's what JC and I were talking about that actually earlier is I don't remember how much all of the food. So I guess it is only 1 token because Tyson spent his 1 token on peanut butter. So
peanut butter is definitely 1 token. I think a 6-pack of beer is 1 token. I'm trying to actually find the image now.
I was too. I think all the food was actually 1. I'm pretty sure everything on the whole menu was 1 token except for the idol, which was 3.
Yes, so, and the advantage is either 2 or 3.
But I do kind of get the impression that Danny and Parvati split the 4 tokens and maybe each got 2.
Yeah.
It was just way more.
The advantage is 1 token, but you can spend up to to 3.
Stack it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And for me, just as being someone who focuses on the edit, it just seems like maybe the focus of the edit was that they got food out of this, or maybe that they, they're the ones that found it. But the fact that they split it and that wasn't really shown maybe it's something that comes up next week pretty early in the episode. Maybe it's just not enough time. But we'll see though. I, as of this point, I'm pretty confident in Parv's ability, especially if she has sustenance now, and she's the one that bought it. So it's not like someone can just finish it without her knowing, because she would know who knows. It's something that can actually help her in the battle back challenge. I mean, I know that's a couple weeks from now, and even for them, that's probably still 11, 12 days away. So she's gonna need that peanut butter to stay in there. And maybe if she gets back in too, or someone that had the peanut butter, it shows you should take the food if fire tokens and the edge are a thing in the future.
Yeah, I do think that massive thing of peanut butter is actually worth 1 token if you're going to be on Edge of Extinction for a long time. I don't know if it made a difference with Tyson because he wasn't there for that long, but definitely it's something that, someone like Natalie maybe should have thought about. That could have been the difference between her getting back in rather than one of the advantages. But
I mean, in
Yeah, hard to
Tyson's
say.
case, being able to take the peanut butter with him back into the main game is huge.
Yep.
Did he get two?
Somebody in my fantasy league chat said he gave it to Parv, but they might have bought the jar that Parv had in the secret scene you were talking about.
I just don't think that Tyson would get to take it back in the game. 'Cause that seems like
That's
a
crazy.
really good bargaining chip, potentially.
Even better than the token at that point.
Even though I guess then if somebody knows where it is, they would just vote out Tyson. They get all the peanut butter to themselves.
Even I would love that.
We don't actually get the full menu.
Right.
The screenshots all cut off at line 4. So you have one pizza, jar of peanut butter, bottle of wine, the letters CK, cold beer, so probably says 6-pack cold beer, I think. Maybe 4-pack, I don't know. Hawk, HOCK, and everything before that is cut off, so I don't know what that is.
Oh.
Or it might be hack.
That
Like
might.
another pack something. I really can't tell. And then there's a 6th line where it says 1 token, and there's no letters shown because it's at the bottom of the chest.
Right. Is that the edge? That's the edge list, right?
Yeah,
That's
like
the edge list, yes.
the new, which we didn't podcast last week, but I feel like the new menu for like the players like in the actual game, it's kind of ridiculous. Like it was not what I was expecting. The
weird.
2 strategic advantages were strategic advantages in quotation marks. Were steal someone's spot on a reward or send a personal note to any player on the edge, which I just think is like it's
like what the fuck?
I wouldn't say it's useless because I guess like if you blindside somebody, maybe like you want to explain or I don't know, because I do think like a lot of times the jury's mind is made up going into final tribals, so maybe you want to like preemptively try and
send a note,
soothe the wounds, but that's pretty ridiculous. And then the food, it's a small bag of beans for 4 tokens and a regular bag of rice for 5 tokens. Like that's
more expensive than it was before.
Yep, it goes up.
2 pillows and 2 blankets for 4 tokens and a tarp for 5 tokens.
I would definitely.
Last time you can spend fire tokens is sundown of day 34.
So that might be the challenge battle back.
I would assume so,
right? Because
I think that was around because Chris Underwood I think spent 4 or 5 days.
Plus the that makes sense because he's
like
there for 13 days. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like they have that advantage, which from like our community's perspective is something we all wanted because we don't want them to be able to win their way back in and then be safe at final 6, which is going to be hard for them to build their social game back up. But maybe if someone comes back in that's a little under the radar, that might be better for them because that way they can just go in and maybe slip in there. But I don't know. I really don't know if that second edge person has a much chance, but I guess we'll have to see who it is.
Well, I mean, they can still like buy an idol before they go back in, and they can still use that. So
that's still an option?
Yeah, no, you can still, anything that you buy, you just can't buy anything after that day. So like, if Natalie or Boston Rob get back in the game on day 34, then they have an idol to use. Jeff Probst did say that is valid. He can use those idols.
That makes sense.
He said that it wasn't, and then the next day went back and corrected, said he misread the question, and that yes, they do still have their idols to take with them should they get in.
That makes sense because they didn't. Why would that go away? Because it's still whenever you get back in. That makes sense. Okay, so they have a good footing if they get back in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, going back to this week's Edge, we got the coin flip advantage that they found, and they got to decide the price, which is the first time that we've seen that, and they decide to charge Michelle the full price that they know she has, which is 4 tokens. What do you guys think about Michelle's decision to purchase it for 4 tokens?
She has to. She does not reasonably have a choice not to, because if she doesn't buy it for 4, the next time an advantage is found, it's not going to her.
See, I disagree.
In her mind, like
maybe
you snub the person who tried to sell it to you the first time. They are going to go on a disinformation campaign against you, or even like a regular like negative. Like they're going to be going around slandering you on Edge because they've got nothing but time to gossip. So Parv probably would just start talking about how ungrateful Michelle is or something. I don't know. Maybe she wouldn't. There's a sliver of chance that like the next person offers it to Michelle, but that being said, that was not a good price for half of an idol.
Right.
Yeah, even calling it half an idol is like kind of generous in my mind because it's like,
yeah.
Well, first of all, you play it before the votes are read, so it's kind of like you're just, I guess, I think you play it before the votes are read. That was what I.
Or are you playing it before the votes are cast?
Or yeah, sorry, before the votes are cast is what I meant. Because it says safe or not safe, which makes me think it's kind of like an immunity necklace that you put it on before any votes are cast, and then like no one vote for you. But I feel like I don't feel like it's that great, because. And this is my problem with it from a production standpoint, is it's so rare nowadays that we actually get like an idol play that is correct, like a correct idol play. So then to add on, not only do you have to know when to play it when a blindside is happening every single week, but it's also only a 50-50 chance that it's going to work.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't seem it seems like the goal of production would be have correct idol plays, so then it causes chaos. Like, oh, then like plans are disrupted. Like the person that's supposed to go home doesn't go home. And so now if Michelle does get all of the votes cast on her, she plays this, it says not safe, it's like, wah, wah, she's going home anyway.
Right. Yeah. Out of the two potential idols that we saw today, so the one that we'll get to, like I guess like the Fertilise idol, but like the Adam idol, or this like heads or tails idol, but immunity necklace, which one would you guys prefer to see?
Oh, the Adam idol, hands down.
Yeah, way, for sure.
Okay, that's how I was feeling too, and I almost like wished, and like we can get into this after, and even Adam's character was so volatile and very fun to watch, and just like really erupted in his storyline, really hit a peak this week. But I agree, I feel like it's like if you're gonna input this new idol, which granted, like I get maybe they don't want to do the same thing as Australian, maybe they or South African, they want to like keep it a little separate, maybe try to be their own thing. This just doesn't seem like you were saying, it doesn't seem like something that's gonna push the game forward with exciting moves. Because if she's on her way out, let's say Michelle does play it for herself, and it's gonna be like a 7-1 vote or something in a week or two from now, and she flips the coin and it's just like false, or it's just like you're not safe, it's like
false.
Okay. False,
false.
True
this
false.
This is not an idol.
False. Figure it out. She's done. She still goes home in a majority vote, and that's it. Or if she is safe, it's like I guess they would scramble then. But it just doesn't seem like it's that exciting. It's just like, okay, well, she's now safe, and we'll go with our plan B, who's probably existed anyway.
Yeah,
well, this is my problem.
None of these players are going to not have a backup plan.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Well, this was my problem with the idol nullifier as well. Is like the whole point of these advantages is to give the minority a chance to overcome numbers. So if an idol nullifier, by the very nature, is helping the majority stifle somebody from the minority who's trying to make a move, who has an idol, who has a second chance at the game, and then no, never mind, you're nullified, you're going home anyway.
Right.
And this is the same kind of deal where it's like you're just hurting somebody from making it, like you're stopping somebody from making a move, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily blame Michelle for buying it. Mainly because this is the first time she's being offered an advantage from the edge. So she doesn't really know what the advantages have been. Like maybe people know about Sandra's like short-term idol. I don't really know how many people know where she got that, but like obviously that's way more powerful than what Michelle has, literally twice as powerful. So.
And what can be dangerous now is the fact that Tyson's back in, and we haven't seen much of him talking to people about the edge, but I'm sure people have asked questions, and he's a smart dude, very strategic, so maybe he's kept that information to himself, much like Rick did. But in the same sense, maybe in this case, he is telling people, hey, advantages can come from the edge, or this is what's happening over there with fire tokens. So now people are like, oh, Michelle has this advantage. That means the jury must like her, or the jury must know that she has tokens, which shows some sort of information and trust. So it can be a big target, and a big target for half a chance of being safe before a vote. I agree, it's definitely a move you have to make, but it's definitely a shady idol for sure.
Thankfully, I do think for Michelle, after this week of having two of the kind of hyenas or the low-profile people going home, I think her and Nick are so safe for like the next 3 rounds. Like I do not see them being even really considered seriously. They might be a decoy vote, but now that we have all of these lions left, all the meat shields, quote unquote, left, it's time for one of them to go. It's not gonna stay, just going down the line.
Yep. Definitely a big move coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, after the edge, we got the reward challenge. Any thoughts on the challenge, JC? Do you like the fish puzzle?
I like the fish puzzle because it's not a puzzle you can make at home.
Yeah.
You can do spatial awareness puzzles like it. You can make similar puzzles, but you'll never know that exact puzzle's solution. It's not like the four colors puzzle where you can physically recreate every aspect of it.
Yep.
It's not like the flame puzzle that they have to stand up where they did the tree this time, where you can take pictures of the puzzle, lay it out, and carve it into place. These fish are so similar. It's something you really have to do to be able to know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was a close challenge too, which is always just great. It came down to a piece, maybe.
Yeah.
That's not saying that like production is editing what we're seeing. That's saying that the solution for this puzzle, it looks like it's one piece, but really you could be off by 4 or 5 and it would look like it was one.
Right.
I know this is a small thing, but I really like it when Jeff tells us who the captains were. It's not like a massive deal, but I'm just like, it only takes like 2 extra seconds to edit in. And I'm always just curious. I'm like, oh, how did these teams form? We picked 2. So I'm glad that we got that. And the irony was not lost on me that Denise was on the Sandra bench. So
yes.
She like inherited it.
Yeah.
She didn't sit out intentionally.
Right.
She's absorbing her power.
Yeah.
And it's something for casual and super fans alike, because I watch with my parents every week, and it's something that they're always like, well, how did they get those teams for the reward challenges? And it's something we want to know because it shows like maybe the edgic or like the logic, like just logic and strategy of picking a team. And it might show where their actual explicit intentions may lie. And it's interesting. It's a nice layer to the game.
So when picking a reward team, you always want to make sure your closest ally is on the other team. Always.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that regard, like I don't want to say that players are never going to tip their hand by picking their alliance. And especially in Australian, I think we saw this season, two different alliances just completely split up for a reward. But if given the chance, you want to pick the players who are going to help you win that reward, and your closest ally is on the other team, so that they're there at camp keeping an ear out for you, or they're on the reward keeping an ear out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a good move.
So then after the reward challenge, of course, we get Sarah offering to give Nick her reward. I feel like this move has been, like, just universally, everyone says, this is terrible. Don't ever do this. Like, Jeff, the players, the fans, everyone is saying that this is bad. I don't think it is that bad. Like, I think it has been way overblown. Yes. I think that, like, yeah, of course, everybody is going to go back to Kim and be like, oh, that was strategic, wasn't it? She did that to try and win Nick over. But, like, at the same time, it's just a reward. And, like, they have been, like, they were on the same original tribe. So, of course, they have some sort of connection already. So I feel like it was blown out of proportion.
It reminds me of when Yul gave Penner his hat back in Cook Islands, where he was like, oh, here you go. And everyone was like, that's jury pandering. But no one got him out because he had the guide idol. But in this sense, like, it seems there's 2 things that go through my head. One, I've done a complete 180 on Sarah. I think she has done, I've said this probably the past 3 times we've done recap. Yeah. Her confessionals are great. She's really turning it up this season. I feel like she's too big of a threat still to win, but I would be completely okay with an Officer Sarah win. And the second point being, the people who go back and say this and initiate that chat, which first of all is what the edit's giving us, but secondly is it's Adam, who's like, he comes from a very game body season, and I like Millennials versus Gen X, but Adam in that season was amongst game bots and amongst super fans, and for him, that's okay to do in his season. But here, for me, it came off as very disingenuous. For him to say, hey, she's like crazy, or we're all going to just believe that. And I guess Tony is the more rational sense again, which is good, again, for his potential in this game, because Tony comes in and he's like, Sarah, what are you doing, man? And she's like, it's his birthday. Like, let him go eat food. Like, he's starving. Like, go ahead.
Sarah had a moment of weakness. That was like my favorite part of the episode is Tony saying moment. Cracked me up.
I've also done like I liked Tony before this, but I really thought his Game Changers was insane. But I feel like Noah rubbed off on me, and I'm just like Tony. Like, I get it. I understand.
Oh yeah, Tony he's like probably I would say like in my top 3 like male players of all time, but
Yeah.
and like he's honestly not as entertaining in this season as he was in Kagayan, but I mean that's hard to do, and he can't play the same game he played in Kagayan this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, his restraint this season has been admirable. Like, yeah, I mean, I know you made a joke earlier about like, oh, rational Tony, he's not rational, but like he really has a great mind for the game, and like he is capable of playing low. Like he knows how to do it. He just sometimes chooses not to, or sometimes can't. But
definitely.
Yeah, I like that he said, "Hey, Sarah, like I'm not going to preach to you, like I'm not trying to scold you, but in my opinion, that was a bad move. Just so you know." Like I think it was just like a very honest conversation between two people who get each other.
Mm-hmm. And it's the third iteration of their alliance. It's probably like similar to Parv and Amanda on Heroes versus Villains. They played 3 seasons, or not 3 seasons, but like they played at least like 2 seasons, pretty similarly close back to back to each other. And I'm surprised, like, you know, we had Cop Zero S 1.0 and Kagayan, and of course that blew up at the merge. They were gonna try and do it in Game Changers, but of course that blew up. And here we're seeing it actually start to work and develop in a very natural way. The only screen time we really ever get of them together is them telling the audience like how to feel about something that happened, which I think bodes very well for the both of them in the game.
And I feel like we've heard a lot of people mention certain like, oh, these two people are too close. These two people are close, but I have not heard that about Tony and Sarah yet, which is surprising because I feel like that would be on my radar. Like, oh, I've heard these two are close. I've heard they talk all the time. Like they're both super dangerous. But they must have done really well at not being seen as too close.
Mm-hmm. It's good for them.
Yeah.
So Chinese food is probably like the reward I want if I'm out there. Just because like I don't need it all the time in my day-to-day life, but oh man, I would be missing it. I would be missing it. But that being said, she did put out a tweet saying she can't eat Chinese takeout, just allergic to probably like the soy or one of the oils or something.
Yes, I saw that, but that's not true. Like it's a joke, apparently.
Okay,
really?
I thought it was a joke. But
that's the thing. I didn't think it was a joke, and then I saw like Nick retweet it and be like, "Hey guys, she's not serious. Haha, this is just a joke." Which I'm like, I don't get why it's funny.
Yeah, that's not really funny. She's probably just trying to be like, "Hey, that's why I did it. I got tested for."
I'm sorry. She just said I think the joke was like, "I'm allergic to Chinese food, but like you're not allergic to an entire cuisine. Like you just be allergic to an ingredient." So I feel like she was trying to make a joke and it just didn't land. Like. Yeah. She has a very dry sense of humor.
So I was reading it and I was thinking, okay, so this is sarcasm. Of course she did it for game purposes, and she's just like playing down the fact that she did it for game purposes. But I didn't want to get on this podcast and like down talk a player. I really try to keep positive on here. So it's just like, all right, I'm going to take this tweet at face value.
Right.
I actually buy that it was a heartfelt. I buy that it was genuine. I think it was.
Me too. And she's we've seen it. We've heard, well, we haven't seen it until this season, but we've heard time and time again that Sarah is a sweet lady and just really cares about the people she's not only in alliance with, but just on a season with. And people come out of the season like Andrea Belke or like Sari or Sandra coming out really. These are like 3 very different people from different walks of life saying, "Hey, like Officer Sarah is a dope woman, and like she's a great girl to be friends with." And coming out of that, it seems to show, especially in this season. And I've always wondered too. And just going back to like the tweet, because I can't eat gluten, so I seriously wonder, like every time I would be sitting there, I'd be like, damn, like I can't have any of these rewards. So I feel like I would normally try to throw an immunity challenge, but I would definitely try to throw a reward challenge too, unless it was for something like comfort or like the spa or something like that. But it doesn't seem like a good move to just like win it outright if it's an individual one. But if you're hidden behind a group, it's like, okay, we did this together. It's fine to do. And I'm glad, I kind of missed the reward challenges. I don't really get them pre-merge, but in the post-merge, it's definitely something interesting and might build connections.
Yeah. So this is something my other chat brought up as well. If you have an allergy, intolerance, etc., and you are winning a regular reward, there will be an option for you. If you're vegetarian, there's going to be a
That's
vegetarian option. They'll have gluten-free breading, like bread and stuff.
That's fire.
If you're under 21, they'll have root beer or non-alcoholic beer or something.
Right.
The only exception to this is the auction. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And so somebody retorted to me, what about the auction? Ethan couldn't have ham.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Isn't true.
And so the auction is the exception, in so much as this item is covered. Welp.
What are you gonna do?
You get what you get.
Right. That sucked for him, but yeah.
Yeah. So like after this whole thing happens, Nick does say in confessional, he's like, I don't owe Sarah anything. So I do feel like the edit was trying to make her look bad. But just to like, I do think it, even though Nick says like, I don't owe Sarah anything, like this doesn't change my opinion of her. I do think this is like a little bit meta, but in Nick's mind, he thinks, oh, Sarah thinks that she has me, so she's not going to want me out. And so I do feel like in a weird way, it almost does make Nick feel more safe about Sarah because, like Sarah's trying to use me, Sarah's trying to win me over, so she's not going to want me out. So it maybe does buy a little bit of something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could really come back to bite her if we get 2 game body though, because Sarah's trying to butter me up, so she wants me on the jury. She wants me out.
True. And one of them voted for the other person. Did it make sense? Like, either Nick voted
the votes for Nick were Denise and Sarah, I think.
That's what it was. So that was interesting to me. She was like, here's the reward, but also, like, don't get too close to me. Maybe that was just, like, a sign of saying, hey, guys, I'm not trying to put him in my back pocket. But also, like, that was such a chaotic tribal, which we'll get to, so I don't blame her for voting anyone that she voted, except for, obviously, herself.
Which you can't do.
Right.
I wish you could. I really wish you could.
That would get meta.
And I found that out after a while of, like, in auditions, I would say, like, hey, I'd throw a vote on myself early on in the game just to stir up some paranoia, just to, like, get people to, like, be like, no, we weren't voting for you, so that they'll have sympathy for me going forward. And terrible idea. Absolutely abysmal idea. I still want to do it.
It's like Zane Knight.
I had somebody in a live reality game who was not really a fan of Survivor, and he wanted to vote for himself at Final Four, and it wasn't allowed, and I was so pissed. I'm like, just let the man vote for himself at Final Four if he wants to. Please.
Let him vote himself out, please.
Yeah. And so at the reward, we get these fortunes, which were totally just like normal fortune cookies that they just got from takeout. They totally didn't print these and put them in themselves. So I did write down what they were. We didn't get everybody's, like we didn't get Nick's or Kim's, but Ben said, your skill will accomplish what the force of many others cannot. Maybe like idle finds, maybe.
Production interference.
That's what I'm predicting it means, is that I think he finds an idol, but I don't know. Oh, and then we do get Kim's. It says, you will make changes for the better, which is hard to imagine because Kim is already perfect. Michelle's were, as the purse is emptied, the heart is filled, which was the most obvious, like, this is referring to fire tokens, duh. Yeah. And don't be afraid to take that big step, which is also like Michelle's story arc this entire season is like taking big steps. So
I can't remember. Did you guys see? Were they specifically written to each person, or was
they
it just
were not? No, I think they just picked some people. But I'm sure like they weren't going to put any in there that weren't encouraging big moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. None that were like just like ghosts.
I don't know. I really do want to sit back and think these are just straight up fortune cookies they got from wherever they got the Chinese takeout from.
I would love it.
They weren't going to have one in there that was like, oh, like the meek will inherit the earth, or like take a step back and observe, or something like that. Like it wasn't going to be anything to like, oh, you should calm down and like observe more. Like they were not going to have that as a fortune cookie. No,
but that's where they don't air what somebody got.
Maybe that's possible, but I just feel like the empty your purse one was too on the nose to not be planted.
I can't.
Yeah, and so then we see the scene of Michelle like getting the 50-50 coin and all that stuff. And she even says in her confessional, I feel like the survivor gods came down and put these fortunes in my fortune cookie. And I'm like, they did. Like they really did the fortune cookie.
That's the thing,
Okay,
girl.
so how many players, when they say Survivor Gods, are they actually talking about production? Because you can't talk about production.
Right. I mean,
feel
that's
like
a
most
good
of the time.
point. Yeah.
If I ever get cast on Big Brother, I'm going to refer to production as the Survivor Gods.
Oh, they do. They talk about the diary room, but they'll like make up a name for the diary room. Like they'll just like use somebody else's name,
Yeah.
so they can talk about it, so then they don't get dinged for talking about production.
Yep.
That
Yeah, and I
makes
feel
sense,
like
though.
people do that on Survivor probably too. Yep, and then we get to the immunity challenge.
Fun. A fun immunity challenge.
I don't even remember what was immunity.
It was the
I am
doghouse.
so out of it tonight.
It was the doghouse balancing thing.
Oh, I love that one. Yes, it was so much fun. And oh man, Kim was who I wanted to pick. And then I was like, nah, I'm gonna go Tyson.
Oh yeah, he was like third out. But I do
feel
think that like this is usually better for short people because your center of gravity is lower.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with my family too. And then I realized, like, after we all said that, like, Denise fell, and then someone else fell that was really short, and then it turns out that Kim, who's really tall, won it.
Right.
But it would make sense that lower center of gravity would help there because you're closer to the doghouse, like your actual center is closer to it.
Yeah, right.
I don't think so.
Would it be the opposite?
I think it's the opposite. Because Wu is not short. Like, he's not tall, but he's not short. And Joe won. Yeah,
he won the
Joe
second
won
chance.
Second chance.
True, that's true.
I'd say it's similar to like a mechanical bull. Being skinny is going to be helpful, and not just from the standpoint of like you have it's easier to control your body, but the ability to like put your knees out one way and your shoulders the other way to counterbalance.
True.
Is definitely a tall person attribute.
Right. I feel like if I had any chance of winning a challenge, it would be the previous week and this week. Because I don't know why. I just feel like I could hang on to shit. But also, the waves are an X factor there that seriously, like, you don't think about. And a lot of times people don't think about the swimming challenges in general. Like, oh, I can swim, but yeah, can you swim in the ocean? But like here, the waves were coming in. I don't know if it was high tide, but it was hitting their dog houses, for lack of better. I don't know, like they're like triangle things. It's
I
was
calling
when I'm describing this challenge to people, I tell them like Snoopy's doghouse.
That's what it looks exactly like. It's like perfect capitulation of that. But in the end, we get Kim winning her 5th immunity challenge. That's huge.
Breaking the record for most female wins
on her 2nd season in her only 2nd challenge of her 2nd run.
I know.
It's not like she had to wait the whole time.
Yeah,
I'm so proud.
It is big.
Michelle was out first for the second week.
Speaking of last week's challenge, though, two really quick comments. First, my undrafted winner picks going into the season were Jeremy and Denise, so that was a lot of fun for me. Right. But that's the challenge that I most would like to have as an immunity challenge. That like, if it's crucial and I get to pick what I'm playing, I want it to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just hang on, and it's like, yes, you might be really tired and fatigued at day 38, day 39, but that's something that if you want it, you hold on tight and you will make sure you win. It's hard as fuck, I'm sure, but like, it's something that willpower can help you through.
I'd much rather have that than say like keep your hand on the idol, like the Richard Hatch challenge.
Yeah.
I would rather have that.
The hand on the idol?
I would not be good at holding on to a pole. First of all,
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like I specifically,
right? Yeah, I would not.
Would like the pole challenge.
Yeah, I feel like I would fall immediately. Also, a little comment challenge from last week is like Michelle falling. Well, so she was out first 2 weeks in a row, but she fell first last week and like really got hurt. I feel like there was a really interesting thing in the edit last week where we saw a lot of like Sophie like crying and breaking down and like not being weak necessarily, but like just showing how much the elements were getting to her. And then we see Michelle fall, really like looks like she gets hurt, and then says, "No, I don't want the medics. I'm fine," and just kind of walks it off. I do feel like the edit was subtly giving Michelle like the upper hand and kind of showing a weaker side of Sophie. So I think that's something to keep my mind on, going forward for the edit.
I really appreciated them showing Adam like propping her up and helping her wobble off too, because he was out right after her.
Right.
And it's something that we find out, like, I mean, might not really have anything to do for his edit, but it's just nice to see that he actually cared in that situation. Because a lot of times we do get caught up in the edit, or he gets caught up in being a game bot, but we see him actually do something that's nice as a human being to do. So it was sweet.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
But yeah, no, like that or idle hands. You've got the little totem that you're trying to knock off the other person. I love that game too. What would you guys want as your like? This is what's saving me. This is the challenge I'm gonna die on, live or die on.
The pole, for real, hanging onto a pole. I don't know why. I'm not like, honestly, I have like big feet, and like I feel like I could just latch onto it and just like hold, like bear hug like the hell out of it. And like I don't think I could go for hours at a time, but I think I could outlast like one other person, as long as it wasn't like a Joe Anglim type or like a Mike Holloway, you know,
Ozzy.
or Ozzy. Yeah, like if it's Ozzy and Parvati and Tyson versus me on the pole, I'm stepping down. I'll go to the edge. But like, you know, in terms of what can I pull it out for, I would try that one.
Yeah, I probably want to just keep my hand on the idol, or maybe something like I feel like I would just need a puzzle. I feel like I would not win something physical.
Right.
What kind of puzzle? Like which would we get a bunch of different kinds of Survivor puzzles? Like would you want the slide puzzle?
I would want a word puzzle.
Word
I feel
puzzle?
like that's my forte. I play lots of. I don't know if you guys know what bananagrams is. It's like Scrabble, so I like bananagrams a lot. So I want something like that.
That's fun.
Yeah. After the immunity challenge, I feel like the first thing we get is kind of the Lions group, or the majority group, whatever you want to call it. And Kim is saying that she wants to split the vote on Adam and Nick. She feels like those are the two obvious people. And we actually see Ben stand up. I don't feel like it was featured, but Ben says, let's not split it on Adam. Let's do Nick and Michelle, since they were the two left out of the vote last time. And I was like, you know what, Adam? You don't appreciate Ben enough. Like, Ben actually did not want the vote to be split on you. He was trying to save you. So
he went to bat for him. And it's like, it honestly, it makes sense. And Kim comes out on top here, obviously, because Adam and Nick and then Adam goes home, obviously. But it's true, because Ben really stuck his neck out in a place that really could have came back to bite him. He's in a good spot, but if he played that a little more aggressively, like he might have in Triple H, that could have came back and blew up in his face.
Yeah, well, I actually think that, like, I buy into the story that Adam sunk his own game. I do think that he said, like his last words, that he thought that the idol on the podium was a legit thing, and so that caused him to play a little harder. And I think him trying to put together a vote for Sarah was maybe what swung it over to him instead of Nick. And I think as a super fan, he should have known, like, his position was so weak that he just needed to, like, hang on for one more vote before things started to kind of fall in on itself. So I do think it was the wrong move for him to kind of play too aggressively in this spot. Right.
And it's like the fact of Adam should have done that, but Tyson did do it, and he was like, I can chill in chaos. And Tyson's name did get thrown out on one of those points in like the pandemonium cut to and like cut back from. But he had the right idea of being like, let me throw a name out, let me see what happens, and just step away and back up. Because it got attached to him in one sense, but it also didn't like really cling on to him. And I think he played that the way that Adam should have played it. And maybe if they both did that, then maybe something would have came to fruition there. But it was like there's too many names getting thrown out by too many people that it was going to blow up in someone's face.
Yeah, and I think that
whose name is not getting thrown out?
Who?
Jeremy.
Yeah,
that's true.
Honestly, after that first vote.
Yeah, I do think that like the conversation that we saw kind of started all off is like, so Nick had told Tyson that Sophie said his name. So then later, Tyson, Jeremy, and Adam are talking, and I think Tyson maybe says, oh, let's do Sophie. And then Adam says, I'd rather it be Sarah. And that's kind of where the ball starts rolling for Sarah. Is it's Adam, Nick, Jeremy, Tyson, and Michelle all say that they're going to vote for Sarah. And then they kind of bring in Denise as a sixth. But yeah, I just think that like Jeremy and Tyson were never going to do that.
Right. Because Tyson likes Sarah. We saw that in the edit before he left.
Sure. So I just think that like he was not in a position to be deciding the name. He should just be thankful that any name was getting thrown around, because like if like let's just imagine like that Sophie is one of the options. I think that like that could really Sophie's kind of player who might really be like, oh hell no, like you are not saying my name, like I'm going to town.
Yeah, like Sandra. Sandra did the same thing. Tyson was like, let's vote Sandra out, and Sandra was like, nope. we're not doing that. So figure it out.
And Sophie was one of the people that like wanted Tyson out when he left. So I do feel like it's makes more sense. Whereas Sarah was not really in on that vote. And obviously Adam probably doesn't know the details of that.
Mm-hmm.
But like Sarah did not really want Tyson to go home in that round.
Mm-hmm.
And then Denise actually goes to Kim and says, "Oh, the plan has changed to Sarah." And then Kim agrees to Denise and then goes immediately to Tyson like, "We're not voting Sarah, right?" And then we just get like this whole mishmash of just like snippets of conversations that I personally really enjoyed it. Like when I could actually like go back and like pause and like actually analyze what each person is saying, because it gives you insight into a little bit what people's hierarchy is.
Yep, it's true. And normally we don't get to see that. We kind of like that's what we do when we piece it together.
Right.
But we get those like even like you said, those 1 second snippets help so much in trying to pick it out. And yes, like it's not something we can get on the first watch, but it's something we can go back and slowly be like, okay, this is who that person wants out. That says a lot.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Let's see. So Tyson, I feel like, is the one that really latched on to Adam. He says Adam is dangerous because he was the only person who could get people to agree to Sarah. Like he was the only one putting a plan together. So again, I feel like this is what Nick and Michelle did well in this round, is like not being the person who's like spearheading the opposition.
Mm-hmm. And it's like sort of like you could throw a name out, but you can get other people to do it, which is big.
Yeah, for sure. And Tyson also says like the confusion is helping him because people are like starting to forget about him. And we did see his name get thrown out, but he's basically saying like the more names that are getting thrown out, like the smaller that Tyson can become, because, you know, he's the only old schooler left who is on the edge. And so anything that he can do to kind of just like make people throw out names, like make chaos happen is helping him go back under the radar.
My biggest fear for Tyson is that his narrative, which is he has a pretty good edit so far. I would say one of the better ones, probably like top 3 or 4. My biggest fear is, since this is so family centric, that he might win the family challenge, which is next week, and then might get targeted for it. Like something as crazy as that seems very realistic to me. It's all speculation at this point, but I just kind of, as a Tyson fan, hope that's not what happens. But it's something that like I'm like worried like why they're focusing so much on his family aspect. But in this episode, had a decently good edit. Stayed out of the way of fire and made it happen. So
yeah, I think he had a great edit.
This is a really early family visit.
Ridiculously early.
And they're bringing out like 4 people each.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Like, this is expensive.
Yes.
Like, they're flying out like probably
everybody.
20 to 30 people.
Mm-hmm. And who knows? I mean, maybe they'll do it for the edge too.
No, I don't think so.
That would be great. They didn't show it. I feel like maybe if they were gonna do it, they would show it. But like, they could be like, "Oh, use all your fire tokens, and go see your children." Parvati, your kids are on the boat over there. Parvati.
I think that they would all do it.
Yeah, 100%. And like the people that don't have fire tokens, like, come on.
Parvati's kid is not going to be out on that boat. Parvati's kid is like a 3-month-old.
Yeah, it just popped out. I think it's literally like, yeah, like you said, like 2 or 3 months old. But like, John pops out. He's like,
I know we are gonna. I mean, like Val's gonna be there, Rachel's gonna be there, so we are getting some Blood versus Water reunions, which is fun. Val Collins.
Oh, good. We don't have to deal with the twinnies.
Oh God.
Hey,
do you like the twinnies?
I've never seen their Amazing Race seasons, but I love Natalie and Nadia as individuals, so I feel like I would love the twinnies.
I liked them as individuals. I went into Blood versus Water saying Natalie and Nadia are going to place 18th and 17th. Because that's how annoying they were on Amazing Race. And I didn't think they could do the social game of Survivor.
I wouldn't see, that makes me, I don't really like Amazing Race that much, but that makes me want to go watch.
Watch their All-Stars season. It was a really good season. They were up against the Globetrotters. It was like a really enjoyable season.
Didn't they go out early when they came back, though?
I might be wrong. I thought they made it a little further.
I feel like they made it, based off what I've heard, they made it really far their first season, and then like the next 2 times they played, they were out early.
That might be the case. I might have it backwards in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the episode. So we have this Ben and Adam confrontation scene, which everybody has been like loving this Adam Ben storyline of just this constant back and forth bickering, and this was just like perfect. I loved it so much. What do you guys think?
I mean, the episode is won or lost on this scene for Adam.
Right.
He does have Ben trying to back him up, and then don't bite the hand that feeds you. There's got to be a better anecdote to use here, but like Ben was helping him out, and then this scene happens, and it's just like, we're done. I'm not helping you anymore.
Yeah. We don't know exactly when this happened chronologically, but in the edit, it was pretty close before Tribal Council, and so I feel like it might have already been set in place, but like Adam didn't know like how far down the track like the vote for him was, but he should not have been basically pissing Ben off when he was on the bottom. Like he needed to do something, and he obviously like he was the person to say that Ben and Sarah were too close, but he should have just thrown out somebody's name. Why not just say it was Nick? Because Nick's the other option. So
right, and
say anybody.
Yeah, literally throw a name out, and then we'll go from there. And a lot of times that's what we see in these live tribals. The person that kind of ignites the live tribal kind of gets away with it. But in this sense, it just seemed like Adam was already too chaotic and no one was down to listen. Because as you see him go to every person, he goes to Tony, he goes to Sophie, he goes to a bunch of different people, and they're all like, you're good. They literally, you can hear, you're good. Like, we can hear them. It's not like they added it in. You're good. Like, calm down. I feel like he really would have benefited from yoga on this season, or like just breathing deeply. Because you can, yoga, he sits down in his confessionals with these bug eyes and just goes in. And I'm like, listen, Adam is the reason I started, like I say this every week. He is the reason I got back this into Survivor this recently. Like, I was into it as a kid, obviously, but seeing him play this way this season, very entertaining, great villainous character, like just like very like, you know, I don't even know if we've seen someone who's made it this far and also won the game who's played like him, but you can just tell he needs to like take a deep breath. You're fine. Your legacy's fine as long as you don't like play an idol on yourself to get yourself voted out, you know. Now it's like, Adam, you went off the deep end.
I honestly, I'm in like a little texting thing with my family that we text about Survivor, and everybody is piling on like, oh, Adam's the worst, Adam's so annoying, and I'm like, guys, I'm afraid that I would be like this on Survivor, because I can just see myself being so paranoid, so angry all the time. Like I get angry when I'm competitive, and I could definitely see myself, but not necessarily to the cringe extent that Adam went to. Like his confessional before Tribal was like, oh, he's playing with fire. It's so hot. Oh, it's going to burn him. And I'm like, what are you doing?
This
is absurd.
It pained me to watch.
It's secondhand embarrassment.
Yes. Like even thinking, like you saying that, first of all, great impression. Second of all, that brought me back to it. And I was like, I can't deal with it. It's like, ugh.
I don't know if it's good that I can do an Adam impression.
Me, honestly, I feel you. And I feel you in the sense that I also feel like I would go relate with it. But that's why if any of us ever make it, another thing to add to our little Ned's Declassified Survival Guide is to just take a deep breath in your confessional too. Like, close your eyes. Like, imagine you're at home with $1 million and then go and say your confessional. Don't go in there talking about a fleur-de-lis and then also talk about he's playing with fire. Like, sir, I was an English major and I've taken so many history classes to boot. What the hell is a fleur-de-lis? What is that? What is that?
The only reason I know this is because it is the symbol for the Boy Scouts of America.
It's like a Louisville symbol too. I used to live in Louisville, Kentucky, and that was like our city.
Oh yeah, it is super Mardi Gras as well.
Well, yeah, I mean it's related. Yeah. It's obviously it's a French.
Like that sword
is named after King Louis, so I guess it's part of why.
That makes sense. That makes way more sense, because to me, I was like, he's gone beyond the point of like even using things that a casual audience would know. But maybe that makes sense if it is like a more southern, like Louisville, New Orleans type thing. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a like somewhat well-known symbol. I didn't know that it was called that, but I've definitely seen it a lot. And I don't know, I'm a smart guy, but
right, true. Which shows.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I think I'd be doing a lot of similar things to Adam. I love the fourth wall break he does. Like, you can only get away with so much of doing that. They will only air so much of doing that. They don't like the fourth wall breaks, but he's gotten both of them this season.
Right.
Wait, what specifically are you talking about?
So in this case, I'm talking about the like. I can see me watching myself back home being like, oh, I'm playing with, I can't do the impression that you can do, but, People will talk about it being a show all the time. People will talk about it being like, oh, it's a game. It's not life. I'm going to be friends with these people outside of the show. They'll say that line all the time, but the actual sitting back talking about being a viewer is something they don't like to throw into edits too much. You'll get it. You might get it once a season.
Right.
Yeah, and he got it. That's true.
Oh yeah. Like, oh man, if I was watching at home, I would be telling myself that like that guy's an idiot. Yeah.
And it comes off as just weird. That's true.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because he says that Ben is like super condescending. He's always like, Ben plays more like Boston Rob than he wants to admit. But I feel like that Adam is condescending too, like just in a different way. Like Ben is more kind of like I'm a dad, like I know what's best. But Adam is kind of like, I know this game so well, like I know what's better, like what's best for me. You don't know what's best. Like when he's saying like that line of, well, you might think this is a bad move, but actually it's brilliant. And it's like, then it blows up in his face and everything.
Right. He's very millennial, even still. On a season. It's very much millennials versus Gen X still, because he's still a millennial. There's a few others, but there's also a lot of Gen Xers, and it shows because he's really coming into it like we're all millennials / like Gen Z cusp type things. So it's very like me. That's like the whole stereotype of our generation. But that's kind of how it came off this season. Maybe, if he had kids or was like already married or something like that, maybe they would view him differently. But I think a lot of people are kind of like, all right, Adam, like we get it. You're a young kid, but Adam's like turning 30 soon. He's like either turning 29 or 30. Like Adam went to Stanford, intelligent dude, all these things. And then they're all like, no, Adam, go away. So it's funny.
Well, I really do feel like the divide has been like married versus not married, because like the ages are kind of similar, but it's kind of like younger / not married versus like the married, somewhat older people.
Right. Because Parv's young too.
And that does kind of break down similarly to like the like quote unquote bigger threats. It correlates.
Right.
So we do get this crazy tribal council. Nick said that it's either me or Tyson or Adam. So I think that Tyson's name must have been thrown around more than we thought. Like I know that like Nick and Sarah mentioned Tyson's name.
Right.
So it does seem like we didn't necessarily get that full storyline, but they think it's between one of those three. So he was right about that.
I don't think Tyson's name being thrown around is good for the current edit, though. It's Edge paranoia. Like, he's the player from the Edge. Let me throw his name out there because it's the easy name to throw out there.
Right.
Whereas in the next couple of votes, Tyson's pretty safe. I would actually almost say Tyson's solid for Final 3, just on the standpoint of everybody knows how much the other players do not respect the Edge twist.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see him being targeted in the next couple of votes, actually. I'm not that high on his chances to make it to the end.
I like go back and forth because I try to eliminate my Tyson bias, and I feel like they've made it really easy to do the past couple of weeks because they haven't given us too much Tyson content. Like, yes, he's won the battle back. Yes, he has some good confessionals with some like twinkly music in the background, which is always good. But I agree. I could see him going out like 10th place, or for some reason I see him losing to like Tony in the final 3, which would be a crazy final 3. But I feel like if he makes it to the end, he might get like those early Edge of Extinction votes from like the jury that's still there, like Natalie if she's still there, Yule if he's still there. But in terms of like the late people who like he played with, he might not get those. Maybe like someone like Tony or Denise or like Kim. If Kim gets far, she's gonna have a lot of respect because Kim
and Tyson are close personal friends. So
exactly. Mm-hmm. Or like Officer, if like Sarah makes it far, she was the person that everyone wrote her name down in the beginning. But if she makes it far, she does have kids. She has a husband.
Sarah has a great case if she makes it to the end.
Mm-hmm. So I love Tyson, and I agree. I could see him going to the fight. I either see him going out this week or making it to the final 3.
Yeah, I kind of actually, now that you mentioned the family visit thing, I kind of like totally see that now of him making it to the family visit and then getting voted out. I feel like that I would buy. That
would wrap his storyline around full circle.
Right. Yes. I would hate it, but it makes sense. Like, it's like you see in the preview too, you see like, Kim kiss her kid on the cheek and like Jeremy hug all his family, but Tyson's like visibly emotional, like crying when he sees his daughter, which is adorable. But I mean, they're also very cute. I follow him on Instagram. I love him and Rachel's relationship, but besides the point, but it would make sense for his storyline just to be like wrapped with a bow of like, I couldn't lose. I saw my literal 3 and 5-year-old kids on the beach of Fiji. Like, I had to spend time with them. So
I like also creepily know weird things about Kim. I'm like, Kim To Tyson's like me to Kim.
Yes.
Like she had her 3 kids in under 4 years.
That's insane, though. And none of them are twins. They're not twins.
Yeah,
either.
no, none of them are twins. 3 separate births in under 4 years, and that just made me even think like she won 4 immunities her first time before she was married or had kids, and now she's come back and like is still a beast after childbirth 3 times and like being a full-time mom / interior designer. She's amazing.
Yeah. And her interior design's fantastic. I'm also a big kid. I feel like me and Luke align a lot in our Survivor. Wait, JC, who's like your number 1 Survivor like of all time? Like who's like your like I love Tyson. Like who's that?
Sesternino.
Oh, okay.
And I don't listen to his podcast. I can't do it. I've downloaded it. I've like subscribed to it a couple of times, and I can't keep doing it. I'll listen to a couple episodes and then remove it. And
yeah,
I think it really is just how much content he puts out.
Oh, it's so much,
week,
yeah.
That I overload myself on it. But no, Sesternino, Denise, Jeremy,
okay.
yeah.
So this is big
Spencer.
for you then.
Spencer Bledsoe. Poor guy. I don't think he's watched an episode since Second Chance. I don't think he's interacted with the community at all since Second Chance.
JC, you wouldn't know this. You wouldn't know this because you haven't listened to Rob's podcast, but there was like a while back he had Spencer on, and it was like one of the weirdest podcasts I've ever listened to. Like he was talking about like existential crisis and yoga and like deep meditation. Where like I don't know anything about like meditation, but he was talking like some crazy meditation stuff.
Well,
and he's like definitely was in a bad place, and I don't think it was like all related to Survivor, but maybe like somewhat related. But yeah, I think he has not been like watching regularly, at least.
That one,
go
ahead.
No, and I mean I can't blame him because that is what he did in the end. Is exactly what I would do with, and I know he shot himself in the foot. I know I would shoot myself in the foot doing it. I'm not saying I would do this as like an intentional thing, but like that's how I am with a lot of like the passion that I bring to stuff. Like I absolutely would turn around to somebody who had my back through and through and turned to them and been like, look, like. You put me on that jury, I'm screwing you over and like absolutely ruining moving forward from that. And by that point in the game, he had to turn on Jeremy or Jeremy was going to win anyway. But
right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was going to be like either Wentworth or Jeremy either way. Like, I don't think that he had a chance to win with either of them in the final 3. But
it's like,
anyways, yeah.
It's definitely a lot.
He had to go to the end with Tasha and Keith to have a chance.
Yeah.
And even then, true. Keith is such a likable guy. Keith is on my top 10. Ian from Palau is on my top 10.
Oh, you should watch the
Second
Chance Brand Steel.
I love Ian so much. When you were talking about Second Chance, I was like, okay, but Ian.
Oh, girl, you gotta watch it. Watch 10 minutes in, you'll see what happens to Ian.
But it's a Brand Steel.
Yeah. No, I would love to see him on Second Chance.
Yeah, Brand Steel is his only chance of coming back, JC. So.
Yeah, I know. And then to round out my top 10 list, even though Varner is on my top 10 list, despite his fall from grace. And I'm number 10 on my top 10 list. I just haven't played yet.
Nice.
That's good.
I love that.
So,
but are you like?
Sorry, I got to have that soliloquy. Let's get back to Adam.
Oh my gosh, this is the best part of the episode, guys.
So good.
I hate it.
Well, I mean, is there anything like before the podium thing that you guys want to talk about? I'm trying to think if like there was anything.
Nothing crazy when they go up to vote. I don't think there's any really crazy confessionals at the podium, like at the voting urn. Nothing really stands out.
I just love like the crickets when Adam is like, does anybody want to tell me anything? And then just like it's
they were like
that
was good.
That hurt so much.
Yeah.
Ben and Adam really put on a show for The Edge, which I appreciated. And Adam, it really killed when Adam said, "Benny, it's just because you're so sensitive," and like the Edge of Extinction people just lost it.
I loved it. I love it so much.
So some background for the For Elise idol. For Elise. That's not it. That's wow. That's a song.
Yeah, that's on.
For the not idol on the podium. For years, Probst has tweeted and interviewed that they want to hide an idol at tribal council.
Yeah.
I do not have sources. I really would have to go back digging for them. But
He said it though, 100%.
he has said it so many times.
Yeah.
And then South Africa did it. And then Australia did it. And Adam has watched South Africa and Australia. And the cameramen who are part of multiple different countries' Survivor were laughing at him in his interview, like in his aside where he's talking about the idea that he wants to do this thing. The cameramen are laughing at him because they've worked on the season where it's happened. And they know it's not happening.
But Adam knew, like, Adam has seen that season too. Like, he knew specifically that it was, you guys haven't seen this season and it hurts me so much, but Queen Palesa, who found it at Tribal Council, she was like,
it'll be on the wheel.
The biggest badass of that season. But yeah, like, it was in that exact same spot, literally. And she just, literally in the middle of Tribal Council. Huh?
Did she have a clue for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she did know.
And that's something I've noticed in a couple interviews. I want to say from this past season 39 was if you find a clue to an idol, somebody cannot get to that idol before you have a chance to get to that idol. In the game,
yeah.
Which is, I appreciate it, but it also is kind of really weird. So if somebody gets a clue that says you have an idol buried underneath your structure at camp, and somebody coincidentally just happens to drop something underneath the structure and find the idol, production will step in and be like, yeah, that actually belongs to somebody else. Sorry.
That's like crazy.
I kind of don't like that.
Yeah,
because you finding the clue to the idol is you finding the idol, but then there's the hoop you have to jump through of getting caught, and the idol is yours, but they want to see you get caught. So if somebody else coincidentally finds it before you have the chance to go looking for it. Now, that being said, once you have drawn attention to it, once you have either told somebody, hey, I need to go do this, run a distraction, or you've gone under there to get it, it opens up and becomes fair game for somebody to get before you.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've got first dibs at it. Somebody cannot go get the idol while you are doing your interview confessional of you finding the idol clue. Essentially,
right.
Like you have time to go get to it.
I wonder if that's happened though, because I've never heard a story of anybody saying that.
I don't think it's happened.
I mean, it would be like a pretty big coincidence if somebody found an idol like in between somebody like getting a clue and getting to the idol. Like I feel like you usually, if you know what the clue is, you're going to go get it immediately. Or like if you still can't figure out the clue, like the idol's probably pretty well hidden and like no one's going to just stumble on it. So.
Right.
But,
or like it's buried underneath your tribe flag. Nobody's going to go digging underneath the tribe flag.
Yeah, it's in front of everything too.
So yeah, I'm sitting there thinking Adam is doing the right thing. Adam is playing the game correctly. Sure. I'll be shocked if it works, but then they did the whole like little flashback thing to tribal council showing exactly what he's talking about, and I'm like, they're giving it legitimacy.
Right.
Like they're not playing it off as Adam looks like a moron, Adam looks like a monkey. They're giving it legitimacy. Oh my god, this could actually happen.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the most I've talked about something that's not a challenge.
It was a fun build-up, and I know that people were like kind of hating on Jeff online, like, oh, Jeff really like stuck it in and like really made him look stupid. And it's like, I feel like it was really fun. Like, I liked how Jeff did it. It was like, oh, you're convinced this isn't an idol? Like, I liked the playfulness of it.
Yeah. It played it up for us, too, because at that time, we didn't know yet.
Yeah, and, like, we want to see Adam try and play the podium as an idol. Like,
oh, my God.
You know, we don't want to just Jeff to be like, no, Adam, don't be an idiot. That's not an idol. And then, oh, okay, and then he just gets voted out. Like, he, you know.
That's not
got
fun.
to try it.
Right.
But yeah, and everybody online, of course, was like saying, "Oh, Jeff should have thrown his podium in the fire," which would have been amazing. But
and Eric Reichenbach drew a drawing of him trying to pick up Adam trying to pick up the podium and hand it to Jeff, which was great.
But then, hey, if Rob had pulled the the podium as an idol, it would have been an idol.
Yeah.
Oh, somehow. That's weird.
Is not something I believe, but I've seen that comic going around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a joke, but yeah, I mean, Jeff would be heartbroken to tell Boston Rob that something was not an idol.
Oh, God, tears would be
He
streaming
would
down
not
his
have,
face.
like, he was taking glee in it with Adam, but if it was Boston Rob, like, Boston Rob, sadly, tragically, this is not a hidden immunity idol, but good idea, man. Good idea. Good
Boston
thinking.
Rob, 3 days on this island, and you tried everything to make it safe. How does it feel? You know, it's your 6th time. That's you give him the fucking 3 treatment. He's like, and after all this, you're about to get a unanimous 10-1 vote because you made everyone have a buddy, and they're all adults who've won this game.
But you're still the greatest Survivor player of all time, dude.
Yeah,
Love you, man.
a legend.
Yeah.
Walking out with your torch held high.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I don't want to see Boston Rob play another time, I enjoy having him on the show. I enjoy, like, he's an amazing storyteller. He's great at confessionals.
Yeah.
I want to see him. I don't want to see him playing the game.
Right.
Hence, Island of the Idols, right? Don't you want to see that again?
Island of the Idols was the perfect way to get Rob time on TV. I loved that so much.
I was okay, but
I just nod solemnly.
Island of the Idols itself, however,
Different.
I'm so glad we didn't do this podcast for Island of the Idols.
Yeah.
We were saying this offline last week, but if we started I almost said last semester, but last year, not even last year, 6 months ago, that would have been so bad.
Yeah, for sure.
We would have been like, yeah, we'll be back for 40. See you guys. Bye. But yeah.
Going into next week, it looks like we are definitely getting the scramble of one of the Lions going home with the high-profile players. And I would just remembered that, next week it's Final 10, and Final 10 is the last time that Jeremy can play Safety Without Power. So I have a feeling that we will be seeing that breaking out next week.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll play for someone else too, even if he doesn't. Oh no, did we say he has?
I'm pretty sure that you can't. It's non-transferable.
You did say that last week.
I think it's non-transferable.
Okay. I mean, for him too, if he's in any sort of spot where he hears his name once, I would just play it.
Well, in the preview, I think Tony said, "Let's go for Jeremy."
Right. So yeah, true. So I mean, even if I was him, you can be completely open with it. Maybe when you go into travel, just say, "Hey, I'm playing this," because maybe for him, he doesn't want to burn his allies. So maybe if he's pretty open with the people he's playing with, it could be something that works for him.
Yeah.
So I'm tracking my full prediction play out week to week as part of our other draft. And last week, I put down. We didn't know who was coming out from Edge, so I literally just put down EOE Returnee is going to be voted out like round rotating door. So I had that wrong, but I did put Adam out last week, so I'm actually getting 2 points in that for that. But then this week I said, you know what? No, Adam's going to make it one more week. It's Nick this week, so I don't know. But going into next week, for this week I said Adam, so that one's clearly wrong. But 2 weeks ago I said Kim was going to be out next.
Oof.
So I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know where to put people going into merge.
Yeah.
It was so up in the air. I threw the Poker Alliance pretty down at the bottom, so I think I put Kim down there because of putting, like she had that as a pre-merge story.
Right.
Based off where we are, I feel like I don't see a scenario in which Kim goes home with an idol in her pocket. Like, and
I
that's part
forgot
of
she's an idol.
That's part of me just like being obsessed with Kim is like I don't think that you can blindside her. Like I think that she's too good. Like I think she can see through your bullshit, and I think that if she feels like she is in danger, she will play the idol. And I think that's a potential outcome for next week because she also says in the preview, like, I'm ready to make a big move even if it sends me to Edge, which I think is a clever thing to say because it subconsciously makes people think that you don't have an idol because, oh, I'm willing to make a big move even if it sends me home. But like if you had an idol, you might not be thinking that way. So
right.
I don't know.
It's
just a subtle way.
Yeah, it definitely could come into play, and it seems like her edit isn't such that she would get blindsided like that. She hasn't made very clunky moves. It hasn't been like a lot of things. Maybe that first time she told Sophie and helped Sophie find her idol, that's like a mistake, but it's built a lasting friendship because they're friends outside the game. And,
like she got the idol hack back. So.
And she got the idol hack back, and she got her own idol, so it's like, I mean, they each have idols now, so it seems like it was setting that up. We don't really get that many, there's not that many edits of people who have idols that might play it incorrectly. Like Sophie doesn't seem like she's getting like a doofy edit. Same thing with Jeremy and his advantage. Kim, same thing. So we might be able to see one played this week, which would be exciting too if it's correct.
We have Sarah's extra vote still, so I do feel like this, if it is going to be kind of like a battle of the giants next week, we could definitely see lots of things come into play. And honestly, like that's kind of what I was hoping to see for the new like advantage menu is like it would be really interesting if you could like buy an extra vote for 2 tokens because you wouldn't know who had bought extra votes. So like if there is going to be some like majorly split vote, then it really throws things into chaos. And it's like, oh, how many did they buy? We have to buy one more than they do. And that's kind of what I feel like this advantage menu is just so silly when, you could have been buying votes. And maybe that's too confusing for the storyline, but.
Right. It's something they could keep up with, though. If it goes from 10 to like 15 votes, I mean, or maybe like 13 or something like that. We already have 13 with normal merges anyway, so it's something that we're used to.
And I feel like they could do it quickly, where they just kind of have like a quick flash of like each person like receiving their extra vote, or like saying like, "Oh, I'd like to buy an extra vote with my fire tokens." But
But yeah, I don't know. So who do you guys think is going home this week? Do you still think Kim, JC?
No, not at all. I was just we made those predictions going into merge and had no knowledge of merge whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So I was hedging my bets with people who had pre-existing storylines that could get them voted out.
Right.
Nick is a big possibility this week. I know that they're really pushing this like, hey, big move is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's just like, hey, here's a preview that's going to get you to watch the episode, or if there's actually a big move coming.
Well, and also Nick at the beginning of the episode was saying like, oh man, I'm out for blood now. Like I'm so mad that I got blindsided. So like, it could be like, Nick, we're trying to go after each other. Like, don't put a target on yourself. But he might just like end up blowing up his spot.
Yeah.
So Nick's a safe bet. Like it's a small percent. It's like a 6 to 10%.
Yeah.
But like he's a safe bet. I
was gonna say Nick or Tyson. That was like my two. I think
Sarah goes before Tony. I don't think Sarah goes this week, but across the entire season, Sarah goes before Tony. Because every time we see them together, it's Sarah doing something silly and Tony just being there, like supporting her.
Right.
Except for the latter.
Except for the latter.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think that Jeremy is the target. And so then if he is safe, I think it'll bounce on to either Tyson or Denise.
I think that's fair. Definitely fair. Denise is going to have to go sooner or later because she got Sandra out in that crazy vote. And even if that was pre-merge, that was still insane.
Yeah, there's no way she makes it. I want her to win, but there's no way she makes it to final.
Right.
I think the whole thing with, Wendell going home was Sophie wanting to weaken Jeremy. And I feel like that means Sophie wants that to pay off. Like, she wants Jeremy out sooner rather than later, which makes sense because it doesn't seem like they're that close based on what we've seen. So I could definitely see, like, the original DeCall people, like Sophie, Sarah, Tony, Kim, kind of being the core group that pushes against, like, Jeremy, Denise, and I know Tyson was original DeCall, but, like, on the outs of that.
Right.
So I kind of feel like Jeremy seems like he's close with Tyson and Denise, and so I just feel like one of those three is going to get targeted.
And then I don't know if this is going to show up on the webcam, but like, okay, there we go. Is that showing up?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, my winner pick was like my locked in winner pick for merge is Sophie. So I really do think Jeremy is going soon.
Right.
Yeah, I can see it.
So we're at even numbers. They're talking about a big move. I love rocks. How do you guys feel about rocks this week?
It's not gonna happen.
I
just want it. I'll take it at final 6 or 8.
There's too many. There are too many moving parts for rocks to happen right now.
That's fair.
I agree.
That is fair. Yeah, that would be a lot for this, especially this crew of like basically trust clusters, if that. It's like,
because there's nobody that like really trusts each other so much that they would go to rocks with them. Because it's not like a 5 versus 5 alliance. You know what I mean?
True.
Things are shifting. And I feel like, Nick or Michelle, they're going to be like, who am I going to draw a rock for? Like, I don't care about any of these.
Yeah, for Nick. Like, they just going to go home anyway.
Yeah, like I was thinking, though, like we have not really seen the Michelle and Jeremy storyline pick back up, and I expect that we will at some point.
Yeah.
And I was honestly, last week I was thinking that would have been so good if Jeremy could have got out Nick, because then he would have gotten Wendell and Michelle closer to him because they were both closer to Nick.
True.
And so I'm like, man, if Jeremy could have got, that was like really what Jeremy's like, if he loses, that's, I feel like one of the pivotal points is like, if he could have kept Wendell safe that round and made it Nick, and then he gets Michelle and Wendell is like his loyal allies, that would have been so good for him.
Right.
For sure.
I'm excited though. I mean, I feel like we've analyzed it, but I still don't really have a clear view. I feel like we had a lot of storylines tie up this week, like Ben and Adam, a bunch of other things too. And we've had a lot of storylines go dormant, like everyone's idols, everyone's advantages. So I feel like a lot of these things are going to pick back up, especially the advantages. And I feel like top 10, why not? This is probably where they're going to start building some pieces back up for the late merge into the finale. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't even touch on the song tonight, but the song placement in this episode was appalling. And Survivor, don't be Big Brother, please.
It's getting there. It's fucking getting there. I personally love the song for just like an ironic value.
This is the thing. I love Big Brother. Like, I love the gimmicky, like, we're going to put you in a cat costume just because we fucking can, because you are here and you are contractually obligated to like complete this ridiculous task. But I will say, like, in Survivor, like, the Ancient Voices is like, it's been, JC. Ancient Voices has been here for 20 years. It's good. It is like not gimmicky. Like this whole like rock soundtrack just does not go with living on a deserted island. It doesn't, they don't go together.
Does it make more or less sense that Jeff thought of this on a, like, apparently the rumor is he thought of it on a drive home and just wrote it down and had someone commission the song? For me, makes total sense. I was like, yeah, this sounds like Jeff Probst.
I mean, these lyrics, though, I mean, if he wrote these lyrics on a drive home, I mean, he's a very deep man. Lyrics are like, winners at war, winners at war. You better be ready. They're coming for you. I mean, this is deep stuff.
He's groundbreaking here.
Jeff Probst is an intellectual.
We stand Jeff Probst. At certain points, we question him, but at other points, we thank him for keeping the show on the air for this long.
Yeah.
I'm ready to head out. Are you?
Yeah, I think I've said my piece.
I feel like I had to die on this cross of fuck the Winners at War song. JC, you ready to go?
Yeah, my Skype crashed. I've actually been back for like immediately got it back up and running. I didn't realize I was muted and my camera was off. My bad. So I've been responding to what you've been saying and like.
Was there anything you wanted to add?
No. The song, like, it wasn't a Jimmy Fallon idea.
Oh,
it wasn't a 4 a.m. email.
It was a Tyler Perry song.
The Tyler Perry theme song.
Yeah.
No. Love Jeff Probst. Not always the biggest fan of his. I normally prefer the players, but like.
Right.
Yes.
We're all saying I love you, Jeff Probst, just in case he watches A, our channel, B, this video, and C, this deep into one of our videos so we can get on the show. That's the only reason. Otherwise, it's like gun to our head we're saying this, but, you know, great show. What can we say? Well, guys, if you made it this far, subscribe, leave a comment what we should talk about in the summer, because we were recently discussing that. But yeah, stay tuned. Every week we'll have more Winners at War, or maybe some other coverage. You never know what we have up in the air. But I'm Pat, joined by Luke and JC, and we'll be back next week.
I'm excited.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.